Hi everyone, it's Amisha Grasty here with Team Hydra Squad. I've got John Rick here from the UK, and we're going to be live answering some questions about Hydra-Lister and SKU Grid. Now these won't be tech support issues, so like if you're having problems with your account or something like that, we're still going to encourage you to do a support ticket. But we will answer questions on how to use things and become more efficient. Maurice Lee will be joining us here shortly. All right, so go ahead, and if you have any questions, go ahead and type them into the comment box so that we can get started answering your questions.
I ain't doing that again.
Is anybody out there? This is funny.
Are we on our own, are we?
Yeah, I think we are alone right now.
Well, that's okay. I can ask you. I was about to Facebook you then. How do I get to that page, Amisha, where we take the questions and stuff?
Oh, it's the same link we were talking about earlier in the chat. Do you need me to send it? I'll send it.
Okay, cheers. Oh no.
What's wrong?
We are alone.
Let's see. Okay, I put it in the Hangout chat for you. And then when that video pulls up, you'll have to pause the video. Otherwise, we'll hear ourselves like 2 times.
Got you.
All right, so let's see. I think we have a comment. Oh, we have a couple of comments here.
Excellent.
Hi. Hi, Patsy. Hi, Karen. Hi, Scott.
Hey, guys. I'm actually in tonight. I couldn't even figure out how to do this the other day.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I wasn't logged in on Facebook. Is Daniel in as well? Oh, no, this is from 4 days ago.
Oh my gosh. Can you guys hear a lot of music?
Oh.
It's like, you know, I got somebody in another room and music's playing, so now I'm getting annoyed.
No, I can't hear it.
Okay, good. That's good. All right, so Karen says people are coming in now. Yep. So if anybody has any questions, go ahead and type them into the chat box and we'll answer them. This is rather informal. You know, we don't have anything planned, so like if no one asks any questions, we're just gonna chill.
We can do some listings or something while I was sitting here.
Clifford's funny.
Alarm's going crazy.
Okay, Karen's yelling with all capital letters here. Okay, you said on eBay it says you have 381 listings. SKU says you have 481. Sounds like
The quantity.
Huh?
It's the quantities, isn't it?
No, I think this is more like she probably had some items end or got rid of some things in eBay on the eBay side, but did not remove them from SKU Grid.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the one.
So that would be a matter of you going through and cross-referencing the two. Really, you can export your SKU Grid items to a CSV spreadsheet, and you know it's a lot easier that way. And then you can just remove the rows that are not needed, and purge and then re-import that spreadsheet.
No.
If you don't, I only recommend CSV for people that are comfortable with CSV files. If not, you would have to kind of go one by one and cross-reference them with your eBay account and see what has already. You could probably go through your ended items on eBay, your unsold or ended, and then check those first. And if they're still on SKU-Grid, then delete them from SKU-Grid.
Amisha, don't we have a video? Don't you have a video of how to do it, of the whole process, which we could maybe share with them?
Did I do a video on that?
You did.
I don't think I did.
You didn't? No?
Mm-mm.
Oh, no, you sent it to me all in a text, didn't you? I think I might be able to salvage that on my phone and maybe do something with it. It worked for me. I'll have a look into that.
Awesome. So we'll have to remember that's Karen that needed that information.
I've got a scrappy video myself, actually, but we did it on Jing and we only did it in 5-minute things, and it's a little bit, it's not the best. It could do with being edited and smoothed over, but
okay.
We'll do something.
Okay, so Karen says, can I show how to export my items from SKU-Grid into a spreadsheet? Sure. Let's see. I've got my SKU-Grid, and hello to everyone else that's popping in. I see you all here. Hello, hello. In SKU-Grid, if you wanted to export to a CSV file, that's funny. I thought I was sharing my screen and I wasn't. Okay. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So in SKU-Grid, if you're in here in my items and you want to export your items to a CSV file, you just click this. You go in here to my items, then click on Export CSV. You click that. It gives you a link here that says click here to download the CSV. You click that. You'll notice you'll get a download. And this download, you'll have to use a spreadsheet software like Microsoft Office, Excel, or you can use OpenOffice, something like that. Even Google Drive has their own version of Excel called Google Sheets. You can use that. But basically, I would just open this up. It's going to take a while to launch that software. I'm using something called LibreOffice. That's also like a free version of Microsoft Office. Okay, when you open up a CSV file, usually now this will look different depending on what program you're using to open it, but whichever one you use, it kind of gives you a preview here. So you'll just want to make sure that it kind of looks right, like your columns and everything look right and everything is not all skewed. If something doesn't look right and things don't appear to be in place, you see how now I unchecked comma. You'll have to play with these to get it to look right. So clearly I need the comma there in order to sort this and make it look like a correct spreadsheet. Then I just click OK, the spreadsheet will open, and I can make the necessary changes. So you'll see, you'll have your supplier URLs in the first column. Any variation that had been entered for that item would be here. Stock, you're going to leave that alone because this is what's telling SKU-Grid whether or not it's in stock or out of stock. That's 0 or 1. 0 meaning out of stock, 1 meaning in stock. This is your current supplier price. You're not going to be messing with that. Supplier shipping, you're not really going to be messing with that. Reference ID, this is all for your general purposes. You can write whatever you want to go there. Compare URL. If you use compare items, I don't, so mine are completely blank. Everything is the same as what you see on the grid, really. If you have any additional formulas, not additional formulas, override formulas. If you manually overrode an item, or at the time of listing with Hydra, if your settings were different in Hydra than they are in SKU-Grid, when it comes over to SKU-Grid, SKU-Grid is going to assume that you want to keep the formula in Hydra. So these are where you see a formula in here. These are the ones that had overrides. Okay, some people have wanted to know how to tell whether or not you overrode an item. It's all there. So if you wanted to get rid of it, you can quickly get rid of all of them if you use CSV. Here are your repricing IDs. So basically, you would make whatever changes you need to make. If I were cross-referencing on eBay, I would just hold my control button and do Control F. That allows me a search box. And here I would type in the item ID, whatever it was from eBay. I would just copy it, and then it would jump me to that row. Okay, so I would know, like, if an item was in my was not in my active items, but it was in my SKU grid spreadsheet, that means that the item had already ended on eBay, but I forgot to take it off of SKU grid. So I would just delete that row. You just click the number, delete the row, and keep it moving. Before you upload the spreadsheet back to SKU grid, if you are using compare items, then you would want to add another column here that says auto compare, just like that. And you would want to enter a 1 for every row. Oops, not 11. You'd want to enter a 1, for all the rows of data. And that will basically tell SKU grid that you want to use compare item URLs. All right. So you would need to save this spreadsheet after you're done manipulating it however you want. I'm not going to save this. And then you would come in and you would have to purge all your items, and then you would go through the import, which is basically like uploading an attachment. It's very easy. So I hope that answers that question. Okay. Let's see. Show how to do that export to spreadsheet. Oh, Karen asked the same. Okay. No, I think I covered your question, Karen. Are there any more questions from anyone? I think Maurice came in. Can't see him though.
Yeah, I think he did actually. Yeah, he's in there.
Mm-hmm.
He's mute.
All right. Can you show how to do variations in Hydra or SKU grid, Karen? Are you saying like list the item with a variation, or you're wanting to update your SKU grid to make sure that the variation is correct? SKU grid, okay. Sure. Hey, John, Clifford is asking.
I was just about to answer that now, Amisha, to be honest with you. I was just reading that. I just noticed.
Okay. If you want, do you want to respond to his question while I'm getting SKU grid?
Yeah, I was wondering. I've literally got the chat open now.
Awesome.
He was just about to type in there.
You're awesome. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to share my screen again, Karen. Okay, so if an item has a variation, I'm trying to find one here. Okay, so this is, I'm going to show you the actual supplier item. Okay, so at the supplier, I know that this item has a variation. I see that there's a price range, meaning if I select an option, the price will change. So I want to make sure that my listing and my tracking is accurate for that particular item. So with this, I listed the leopard one, but I'm going to show you, if my screen catches up with me, how all this works. So basically, you would edit your item in SKU grid, or if you're adding a new one, same thing. You would come in here, click edit. Your supplier URL is right here, and here you would type in the variation exactly how the supplier has it. So as you can see, I have the options of leopard, pink leopard, magenta leopard, purple leopard, blue leopard. if you are unsure as to how the supplier does their variation, you can type in whatever you want here, and then SKU will show you what your options are on the grid. The reason why I say this is because if you do it wrong, let's just say I put leopard print as the variation, okay? That's not an available option here. So what happened is, if I put in something wrong, then SKU is going to say this item is out of stock because that variation does not exist. So it's very important that you get it right. Let's see. So where's that item now? You see what happened? So now it says that my supplier stock has changed to none. The reason being is because I entered a variation that was not correct. So eventually, once SKU goes and reprices my item, it's going to knock my item out of stock. So it's very important. But you can type in anything. So even if I get it wrong, you see I typed it wrong here. If I click, there's a little link under here that says Show All. If you click it, SKU will show you a drop down of the available options. So this is exactly how I would need to put it in. So then I would know, okay, what I typed in does not match this, so I need to go back and fix it. And I would just correct that to leopard and hit update. So now when I go back to it, you'll see that my supplier stock has changed back to in stock because I entered a valid variation. Okay. I mean, that's pretty much how that works. There are times when your variation, I'm going to try to find one. I'm not sure that I have anymore, but where the variation, it's like two different things. You know, you might have a size and a color or something like that. If that's the case, then you will need to separate them with a vertical line, which is if you hold your shift button and the backslash, it gives you a vertical line. So here's one. So on this particular item, let's go ahead and show you that. Okay. On this item, you know, with Amazon, you know, sometimes even though it's one size here and you can't even select that because they are all one size, technically that's a variation. It's weird. So you have one size and you have a color called champagne. So when entering that in SKU, actually this was the blue one I did. So it's one size, a vertical line, and blue. And again, you can confirm how the supplier does the variations by using the drop down that it gives you. If you type anything into the variation spot, it'll give you the drop down so you can make sure that you enter the right thing. I hope that's helpful. With Amazon, though, to do them that way is not necessary anymore because SKU recently hooked up to their API. So with Amazon only, you can click where it says, trying to get to it, where it's like, okay, used and new, or sometimes it's under here and it'll just say like to new from $90 or whatever. You would click that link. It's over here. So basically, I can just select, notice the Amazon number, the ASIN here is this. That's for the champagne color. But if I change to blue, the ASIN should theoretically change. Maybe it doesn't on this item, but in any event, every variation for Amazon should have its own ASIN number. Oh, I need to select new. Okay. Okay. Every ASIN should be linked to a specific variation. So with Amazon, you don't necessarily have to do the variations anymore as long as you're selecting the correct ASIN for what you want. My screen is like locked up. Okay. Okay, so let's see here. Clifford wanted to know, where's that at? Okay, so John already answered Clifford. Hydra will tell you when you use a custom formula for a batch, yes, all those items come over with a override formula, and SKU is going to take the custom formula that you made in Hydra. Karen also wanted to know in Hydra how you do the variation. It's pretty much the same. If you're doing a single item listing, you'll have a drop down to select when you're doing a listing that says variation, and you will just select it from the drop down. That's the easiest way, and the way that I recommend for variations. That way you don't have to worry about, did I get it wrong? Otherwise, when you do a batch, you would need the full supplier URL, and you would put a semicolon after the URL and then the name of the variation. And there's a little link here that shows you exactly how to do the variations right here. And again, if it's something like this where it's let's just say this link is supposed to be a blue large, you would do the ASIN, I'm sorry, the URL, a semicolon, the first part of the variation, a vertical line, which is shift, and then the backslash, and then the second part of the variation. So it would look like that. But I really don't recommend doing variations in batches, only because it's more work for you to have to go back and try to figure it out and make sure you got it all right by the time it gets to SKU grid. Whereas if you did them as a single item listing and you selected the variation from the drop down, it's already done for you.
I think Clifford's asking if we can do a demo with the Hydra on the variation, Amisha. I think that's what he's asking. I'm not sure.
Oh. Can you show all, let's see, do a single variation with Hydra. Okay, I'll do that. I'm gonna find this, I guess I'll do an Amazon one and then one from another supplier just to show you the difference between working with Amazon versus another. To answer your question, Karen, can you show all colors in your listing like the luggage? So what you're looking for is a multi-variation listing. You can do that. That would be something you do manually and then add it to your tracking in SKU grid. The problem with that is you're losing your automation. SKU grid is only going to track for one of the variations, and then you could potentially have price changes and out of stocks on the others. You can set it up by adding more entries in SKU grid with the same eBay ID. You can have SKU grid basically send you email notifications on them, but still, like I said, it's a lot less work for you if you just list them as individual listings and have SKU grid track and reprice them individually. Okay, so to answer Clifford's question, a variation. I'm gonna find a product. What the heck? Okay, so if I go to Amazon, just gonna try to find a product really quick.
Karen said she can't see the screen, Amisha. Are you still sharing the screen?
Probably not. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My bad, guys. Okay, so I'm just looking for an item really quick on Amazon to list. I'll just do clothing. I don't really get into clothing, but some people might. Just doing it because I know that they have variations. Okay, so as you can see, we have size as part of the variation, and we have color. So what I'm going to do, am I going to do this? No, I don't like this item. I'm sorry. It's bad. I'll just do bedding. Do something else. Normally do. Okay. Okay. So here's some bedding. What is this? A duvet cover set. With this, we have size, queen or king, and we have color variations, right? So with Amazon, you will be able to, you see where it says 3 new? Click that, switch over, and the ASIN should change as I make different selections here. It should. Yes, it did. So you see how this ASIN number has been changing every time I make a different selection. All right. With that, I don't need to enter a variation at all as long as I'm using the ASIN that's specific to that color and size. See, if I change it to king, that changes again. So with Amazon, as long as you're selecting the right combination, that will just go in the normal way. If I select it, so this is the king chocolate brown. I'm going to go ahead and do a single item listing and put that in. What you'll notice, even my title is correct. It's got like king in here, so it's correct. Let's switch to the editor really quick. So you'll see that this is the chocolate brown, king chocolate brown one. So with Amazon, it will go ahead and select the right title. It'll select the right color for your images and everything, as long as you select the right ASIN for that variation. And then you'll notice if you use the variation dropdown, there will be none because it's not needed for Amazon anymore as long as you select the right ASIN number. I'll show you one with, I guess I'll use Overstock. Okay, so here is a comforter set, which has some type of variation because I see a price range here and I see more colors. So, you know, looking at this listing on Overstock, you'll see that they have size and color, but it's like all one thing. So the variation for this would be king charcoal. You know, there wouldn't be any separating of the color and the size. It's just not how Overstock does theirs, but I will show you that in a minute. I'm just going to take the URL, paste it into the single item lister. I'm going to take out all the gobbledygook at the end. typically it starts with a question mark. And I hit add new. All right. With this, you see how it just says, this is just a pretty generic title. Nothing is really selected. I would have to select from the drop down. It's right under your title. It says variations. I would need to pick, let's just say Queen Charcoal. Okay. When I do that, my pricing changes according to the variation that I selected. If I select the King, the pricing will change. I think my screen is still like thinking right now. See, the price changed when I changed to the taupe color. And you see how King Teal costs even more. So your pricing and everything will change when you make the selection for the variation. However, with these variations, you will need to switch to your editor because unless it's with Amazon where it's going to pick the right one, obviously this is not the teal color. So, this here is showing me all the different possible colors. So I would want to edit my pictures to make sure that they are accurate, edit my title to make sure that it's accurate, and edit my description to make sure that it's accurate. Like here we're referencing Queen and King dimensions. If I'm only listing here the King set, I'm going to take out the reference to Queen. I don't want to be confusing to the buyers. Where it says color, white, blue, gray, and brown, I would change this to teal because I'm selecting the teal one. And as far as the images, what you can do is down here, this probably is the teal, so I would uncheck all the ones that do not apply to this particular listing. And that way it only gets, when it uploads, it only has the images that pertain to this actual listing. So now you can see why I suggest if you're doing anything that has a variation, it's better to go ahead and get it over with using the single item lister versus, and I set it as the main picture, versus you doing them in a batch. If you did them in a batch and you forgot to go back and change all this stuff, then it's possible you can make a sale, buyer opens up a case saying item not described or whatever. You don't want that. As far as getting more images of that color, I would just grab them and then upload them on my own. So I would just grab the image from Overstock and then upload it through the single item lister. Down here I would upload more pictures if I wanted to. The other thing, as far as changing them in here, you would have to switch. I know this kind of gets technical. You have to use something to host your images like TinyPic. That's if all this is important to you. You can just delete all these pictures out of your listing. But if it's important to you, you can, grab the photo from here, right-click, save image as. Let's see, teal blanket. Save it. And then I can upload it to TinyPic. TinyPic will put the image on the internet and give URL for the image, right? So I would do choose file. That even come up? Okay. I chose the file, and basically that's it, and I would hit upload now. Once you do that, it might make you prove that you're not a robot. Golly. This stuff is so slow, like when you're in a screen share. So I have to watch a movie. Lovely. So sometimes you have to watch a movie and get a code in order to keep going. Click your answer. Oh my god. No. Post office. That's what I have to type in here. Post office. Upload now. You can also use something, if you don't want to use TinyPic and you have a PhotoBucket account, you can use PhotoBucket. Anything where you can host your own images online, that would work. All right, so in TinyPic, when it gives you the URLs for your images, you're going to get the one that says direct link for layouts. I know it's blank now, it's just taking a long time. But here it is. It's going to end in JPG for JPEG. Might be PNG for a paying file. Either way, this is the link that you want. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go back to Hydra. And get rid of this now. It's making my computer slow. Okay, so with that said, you would hit show source. All right, and that puts you back in the HTML editor. We have a full width view button to make this bigger so you can see things better. But what you're going to be looking for, you're going to scroll and you will start to see. All right, here they go, right here. So there's a section here that says div class pick area. Okay. In that, you'll see that there's a link to your image, well, one of the images, and then there's a little tag that says main image. Okay, so any link to an image that you put here, that will become the first image that people see within the description of the listing. So I want to change that out and use my own link here. And then all of these are all the links to other images. These are the thumbnails that are on the side. So you can replace those links too with links to other images that are right for that variation. You know, so just do that a couple times. And then I will just get rid of the last two. I'll just say that's enough images. I don't need any more. I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, so when I switch back to the editor, you will notice that only the teal images are shown, and they're the thumbnails. If I would have put different images here, when you put your mouse on them, they would change here also, but they're all the same, so nothing is going to happen. But yeah, so that's how you change the images within the description. Like I said, I take out any references to other colors and other sizes in here. So this is a king. I would take out the reference to queen. And that's pretty much how I would do a variation. Sorry, that was a long process. That's why I avoid variations. Anybody else? I can't even see questions right now because my computer is like frozen.
Daniel just asked, what's the purpose of having images hosted, Amisha?
What's the purpose of having images hosted?
Yeah.
Well, everything on the internet has to be hosted somewhere in order for someone to see it. So the images within the description, they have to be hosted because technically that's like putting an image inside of a web page. And in order to do that, they have to be on the internet already. So like there's no way for you to just like upload a file and it be like directly in the middle of your description there. So that's why they have to be hosted, because you have to work with HTML code. which only accepts links to images, and you can only get a link to an image if it's already online. If that makes sense. Any more questions? So my computer is like a blank canvas right now. I can't see anything. Absolutely lovely. I'm like so frozen. Is anybody there? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Daniel just said, so is that only for images in the descriptions?
Yeah, I mean, your other images, you would be using how I showed at the bottom, how you can upload your own image. You know, if you had other images to add, there's an upload feature down there, and you can upload them. You can rename your images if you wanted to, and stuff like that. And those images, though, that you upload, those are getting put into the eBay image gallery, you know, the top left-hand corner of your eBay listing. That's where those images go. You'll have to excuse me. My computer is like on the fritz.
No, it's no worries. We're good. There's no more questions now.
Any more questions, guys?
Did you just put the link there, Amisha, from Alice?
Oh, yes, I did.
Yeah, sorry, man. I didn't see it.
I know. That was the only thing I could see at the time. You know, my computer was like going completely blank on me. But I could see that.
I was sourcing goods for Amazon.
What happened? Any more questions? No? I don't even think Maurice is on here anymore. It says he left. I probably have to send it to him in Facebook if I can get it up. Any more questions, anyone? You know, like I said, this is rather informal, so like we're just answering questions that you guys have, and
Is there many people still on?
yeah, I hope so.
You know, Amisha, if nobody's really asking any questions at the moment, I'll tell you a question I get all the time. It's people want to know how they can reprice an item in SKUGrid. They're always saying, how can I reprice something individually? Will SKUGrid override it again once I've done it in Hydra? Maybe we could show them the how to use the wizard in SKUGrid to edit a single item and readjust the price, kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah.
I get that question all the time.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So, you know, with repricing your stuff on, I'm sorry, my brain is doing 5 things. With repricing your stuff on SKUGrid, let's just say you have an item up and you want to change the price on it.
What happened? Seriously.
What happened?
My bad, sorry.
What happened?
It was me on another page. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'm gonna show, I guess, how to reprice an item on SKU-Grid. Let's see. So let's just say it's this luggage again. Let's go to this luggage. I'm gonna hit edit. And basically what I want to do is, I don't want this item, if I want to reprice it, I don't want it to use my main formula in SKU-Grid anymore. I want this one item to have its own formula. Because let's just say I wanted a 20% profit on this one particular item, which is high, but I'm just saying, 20% profit, or if I had in my mind I want a definite $20 on this item, you can do that, and I'll show you both. All right, so when you edit the item, you would come down to the bottom. All right, if you already have an override formula in SKU-Grid for that item, it would be in this box. And this button would be, it would say use default formula because it's already overridden. So the only thing you can do is go back to using the default at that point. But since I don't have an override formula in here, my option is to override the selling formula, means override SKU-Grid's main formula, and then I would come in and use the wizard to create a new formula. And it works the same as it did when you listed the item, etc. But you would put in whatever you use to account for tax, and you'll notice as I'm entering things in here, there's an override formula that's populating over here. My margin percentage, if I said, okay, I want to make a 20% margin on this item, I have no fixed margin. My minimum that I want to accept on this item might be $10. You got your PayPal fees, and then your eBay fees. And that's it. If you wanted to double check that to make sure that it comes out about right for you, I don't really know what the supplier cost is on this item, but let's say it's $100. Then my item would be priced to $147.45 to give me a 20% profit margin. All right. Now, some people prefer, when they work with items on an individual basis, they prefer to work with dollar amounts. So, okay, 20% is hard for me to, keep going back and forth in my head. So you would do the same thing you did for vendor tax. You can, for your margin percentage, either change this to 0 or put 1 just as like a little bit of cushion. But in the fixed margin, that's where you're going to put your profit. So I would say I want a fixed margin of $20 if I wanted that to be my profit. And again, you can estimate the final price. It's going to give you an estimate here, and then you update the item. So, you can see how that worked. Basically, normally in SKU-Grid, we're working with profit margin percentages that scale up or down depending on the price of the item. Whereas if you're choosing to work with dollar amounts, this number becomes 0, or you can use 1 for a little bit of cushion, and then the bulk of your profit would be in these dollar fields, fixed margin. You would say, I want a $20 profit, or I want a $30 profit, something like that. That's possible as well. And then you would just update the item. Clifford says, I have no more questions. Will this be a video? Yes, Clifford, it's recorded. Glad you're still here. Is anybody else still here? Have any questions about using Hydra or SKU-Grid? Maurice, how you doing, buddy? You had no sound.
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm alright. Hanging in there. Been a rough day.
Rough day.
Yeah, man.
How are the questions?
Amazon did some craziness with a tracking number for me. They
Really?
gave me a tracking number that tracked back to a package that was delivered in December, but mine was shipped today. So I put that tracking number into eBay, and of course it kind of looks like I'm some scam artist that's trying to claim the item was already delivered
Yeah.
and it just shipped today. So that's my struggle.
I
I
think
just
it'll
did
work
it.
out.
Yeah, no, that's good. Apparently they recycle tracking numbers. I just learned this today. Hi, Tammy. Um, Anybody have any questions? Because we're approaching the 10 o'clock mark, so we'll be closing out in about 6 minutes. Unless anybody has more questions. What's crazy, Daniel, about my tracking number? Yeah, I spent a lot of time on the phone with the Postal Service and with Amazon today. Whoo, Ray, that is a loaded question. No, I'm just kidding. Just listening, trying to learn. Okay, that's awesome. Ray Losi asked, can you walk me through the settings on SKU Actually, there's a whole entire video just on the settings of SKU Grid. Not sure if you saw it, but I went through each individual detail on the SKU Grid settings and like defined them all. And that's in the file section of the SKU Grid group. And it says getting started with SKU Grid, I believe, and then there's a link to a video in there. We'd be here all day if I did that. But it's very simple. And the video, like I said, it's a full in-depth video that walks you step through step through all the settings. Anybody else? Guess you guys can hear my son playing. He's playing Xbox. Oh, okay, no problem, Ray. If you have any questions pertaining to the video, then just shout out in the SKU Grid group. Full supportive community there. So I'm sure that myself or anybody else would be willing to help you. We've only got like 4 more minutes here, so I can't really get into all the settings, but it's okay. Okay, I'm getting Facebook messages. Let's see. Cheryl asks, I tried to write welcome to my eBay store on the title, but for some reason it's not letting me do that. Is there a trick? On your title, Cheryl, I assume you're talking about in your template for Hydra-Lister. The reasons why it would not let you edit, did you put a script into your HTML to block people from right-clicking and highlighting your listing? If you have that script inside of your HTML code, then you won't be able to edit anything till it's posted to eBay. Other than that, just kind of go to the end of where it says your ID here, and then just hit your backspace and start typing. And you should be able to type whatever you want there. I may have another Facebook message. Okay, that was it. Let's see. Ray said, did I see his question about the 3 emails you get from SKU Grid daily? Yeah, I mean, you have, I thought I saw it, but I thought somebody answered it. But, huh?
I did answer on the. I don't know whether he's seen the message, but I did answer to him.
Yeah. It's like you have notifications set up on SKU Grid, and depending on what interval you have the notification set up and how you have it set up, it will send you price increases separately, decreases separately, and stock changes separately. You can choose to not have notifications, or you can choose to have notifications. you don't necessarily need to act on them, but it's just to help you out because SKU Grid does some checking, like, I don't know, I want to say every 20, 30 minutes. It's looking behind the scenes at your supplier URL and looking for changes, right? If it notices any changes, it puts them into the history of your, I'll just show you that, sorry. It puts them into a database, basically, and SKU Grid will, it's not, just because you receive a notification does not mean that it took action on your item at that time. Like I said, these checks are happening 20, 30 minutes in between, and the lowest amount of time that you can reprice at is an hour. So if you're set at every hour for repricing, and you're getting these 20-minute emails, then it might be in your best interest to go into SKU Grid and hit force reprice on that one particular item or whatever. I'd be more concerned with the out of stock ones, but I don't even monitor my notifications anymore. I get them, but I don't monitor them. I hope that helps. Anybody else? Hello. Everybody's so quiet.
Huh.
Hey guys, yeah, I'm sleepy too. You know, I had dinner. I'm tired. I got that food coma.
The coma.
All right, guys. If there's no more questions, we're gonna go ahead and close this thing out. We really appreciate you guys for coming through, and we'll see you next week. We'll answer more questions. All right.
Catch you later, guys.
Bye.